Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the very first episode of Freestylin on Real American Freestyle. I am Vinny, and I am not joined by any co-hosts right now because I'm not sure if anybody else of Suds Media watched Real American Freestyle last night, but I did. And quite honestly, I want to make sure that the information gets out there. I want to make sure that there's a place for people to go that enjoy Real American Freestyle. I am Vinny. I have always been a WWE fan. I've never really watched freestyle wrestling at all, outside of maybe some clips of like Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar or Shelton Benjamin. So this was a big shift for me. Honestly, I did start watching it because it was brought to you by Hulk Hogan and also Eric Bischoff, as well as it was going to bring a new meaning to the term professional wrestling, because they are professional wrestlers. It's because now they're getting paid for it, which is crazy to me because we'd never seen it. Mainly it was kept to high schools, collegiate, Olympics, and the actual freestyle wrestling wasn't as big as what RAF is making it going forward. This is just going to be a very short video. I will say that I am in the process of finalizing the information. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Russell? How are you? Welcome to the chat. I agree. I am so glad that RAF was created as well. I didn't wrestle in high school. I did backyard wrestling back when I was in high school, and even afterwards, but never actually did freestyle wrestling in high school. So I'm glad for it, and it is something underrated. I can't wait for more either. I'm glad they're apparently getting a weekly show on Fox Nation, outside of just going for the, like a UFC style thing. So they're hitting the ground running. I know Eric Bischoff also put out in a tweet that they're working on getting international distribution. So there's a lot of good things coming up for Real American Freestyle. All the champions were crowned last night. And I do want to go ahead and put this out there and let everybody know that I am finalizing the details on an interview with Eric Bischoff himself. He did respond. If you go back in my tweets from today at Suds Media, I did go out and just put it out there and say, listen, I'm doing a podcast specifically centered around Real American Freestyle tonight. And if it tweeted at Eric Bischoff, if you or any of your team are available, please DM me. And he did. And we were going to get one set up for today, but then, just about a half hour ago or 20 minutes ago, he had to be on Fox News. So we are working the details on getting an interview with Eric Bischoff for later this week that I'll air next week. I'm not going to say that every Sunday at 8 o'clock is going to be one of these episodes, but I am going to start putting them out regularly because for a couple of reasons. One, it's good for me. As somebody who is not really familiar with freestyle wrestling, it's good that I'm trying to learn, right? I'm trying to learn about freestyle wrestling itself. I did put out some tweets yesterday during the event because I was live tweeting. I was congratulating all the new champions up until a certain time when I had to go to bed because I had to be at work at 6 a.m. this morning. So I had to be up at 4. And, the real world, unfortunately, does come into play at times. With that said, there were a couple of people that reached out via the tweets and responses about how some of the points are done, how some of the decisions are made. There was one match last night that I'll let everybody know. Let's see, it was, I believe, the Austin Gomez defeating Lance Palmer 11-0 yesterday on the Real American Freestyle 01. He won 11-0, and I thought it said 15-0, but it did say 11-0, and it was stopped after like 50 something seconds because it was so good. Austin Gomez is a beast, and I'm so glad I watched it. And I wanted to find out how the match ended so quickly. And somebody said, well, there is a mercy rule in freestyle wrestling. So if it's a certain amount of points in a certain amount of time, the match is just over, which I didn't know anything about. So listen, as a WWE fan, when Bobby the Brain Heenan or the heel commentator would say so-and-so is ahead on points, now I understand the reference. Anyways, getting into it. I do want to kind of confirm when I do talk to Eric Bischoff later this week, I do want to kind of confirm a couple of things. One is what the deal is with Kennedy Blades. She was supposed to compete. Obviously, last night there was a really big replacement. And as Eric says, if you have to pivot, it's got to be bigger than the original. And I would assume Holly Holm is a bigger name than Kennedy Blades. With that said, I want to find out why the NCAA stopped Kennedy Blades from participating. Is it because she's still in school and still wrestling for her school? I don't know. I don't know the rules, and I want to kind of clarify some rules when it comes to freestyle wrestling. Are these, wrestlers under contract where they can't wrestle elsewhere? I would assume that takes away Olympics or U.S. national championships, because I know a lot of them were talking about how they're going on to the U.S. The World Championships or the Olympics or what have you. So that's what I want to find out. I am doing this podcast to put out the information for Real American Freestyle, but also it's a learning experience for me. If you're watching live and you want to go ahead and put in the comments some stuff that I'm missing, or some stuff about freestyle wrestling in general that either I don't know about, or how the contracts works, or some of this other stuff, competitions and everything, feel free, because I'm doing this as learning for myself as well. I'm trying to find out what's going on, just like, people like me who tuned in because it has the name of Hulk Hogan attached to it, and Eric Bischoff and Izzy Martinez and so far, so on and so forth. I want to thank the 39 people that are currently watching among, multiple viewing platforms, on Twitter and Facebook and so on. And I can guarantee you that, you're going to help me just as much as I help you. So they did open with a great, another great memorial to Hulk Hogan. A lot of it was obviously focused on his building of Real American Freestyle, and it was produced by WWE. So, Eric Bischoff specifically on 83 Weeks thanked, Nick Khan and Paul Levesque and the team at WWE for producing it for this show. And it was good. It really showed how passionate Hulk Hogan was for this concept. Without, going into too much, because obviously Hulk Hogan was not, Terry Bollea was not a freestyle wrestler. He, was in a rock band in high school, and then he became a pro wrestler and all this. And, he's not known. Eric Bischoff was an AAU wrestler years and years ago. That's how he was first kind of put in the orbit of Verne Gagne, prior to trying to sell the Ninja Star Wars on the AWA TV. Eric Bischoff was on AAU for a while, and that's in his books and his words and all that. But one thing I will say is that Hulk Hogan had an eye for talent, had an eye for charisma, had an eye for character. It was because of him that Paul White, the Big Show, was brought to WCW as the Giant. He helped, Harlem Heat. He brought Dennis Rodman from basketball into wrestling. He has an eye for talent. And he saw a lot of these, freestyle wrestlers like a Kurt Angle, who, without an outlet, a national outlet, or something to this kind of stature like Real American Freestyle, Kurt Angle's charisma, Kurt Angle's comedic timing would have never gotten there, and he wouldn't have had another career after the Olympics were over. And I like that Kurt Angle was included on the commentary team for the last two matches of last night's episode of RAF 01. And he also said if something like this was available back when he was still, doing his freestyle wrestling after the Olympics, he would have joined it and it would have prolonged his career. He would have probably gone for another Olympics. It would have pushed back his WWE career, but that's what Kurt Angle was at that time, with a broken freaking neck, I remind you. Okay, so let's kind of go on to some of the results of last night's episode of RAF 01. It was streamed live on Fox Nation, which I think was just the app, the Fox Nation app. I signed up for it specifically for Real American Freestyle, and it did kick me out a couple times. I watched on the Xbox, the Fox Nation app on the Xbox. I don't know. I have to check to see if the Fox One app is better on Xbox, but it did kick me out a couple times. Like I was just watching Fox News and Eric Bischoff on Fox News, and it kicked me out. So I got to see if that's a little better. All right, so let's get on to the results. In the 135-pound category, and I know that they have the different weight classes and bantamweight, middleweight, and what have you. They don't have it listed on the results page here, and I don't have all my tweets in front of me. But in the 135-pound category, Nathan Tomasello defeated Matt Ramos to become the champion in that category, which I think was bantamweight. I'm going to check that out if I can. I just have to find those actual tweets because they were coming hot and heavy yesterday. So where are we? So that's that. No. Yes. It was Nathan Tomasello defeating Matt Ramos 4-3 to become the bantamweight world champion. Oh, thank you, Russell. So Fox Nation on Roku lasted the entire event. So I'm glad. I'll have to look into using my Roku instead. Because on my Xbox it kicked me out. Like the app just force closed twice on me last night. All right, then we had I'm gonna butcher this name, Yanni D, as Chael Sonnen said, for short. Yanni D defeated Bajrang Punia 5-1, and that was in the 155-pound category. That was the light, and he becomes the new lightweight world champion. And I like how they're calling every belt the world championship, because they are in different weight classes. So yeah, Austin Gomez defeated Lance Palmer in 58 seconds, and that's why I tweeted out, could someone tell me what happened? And I have to thank Tony, who's at Dexamerua. If I butchered that, I do apologize if you're watching, Tony. When a wrestler scores a huge point difference, the match is called. So it was basically a mercy rule. Russell said I wanted Ramos to win for biased reasons, as I used to live in Lockport, Illinois. And I get that. And the one thing that I will say about watching freestyle wrestling for the first time ever is you kind of have a pride based on, especially because there's international, right? So you have pride based on your country. And I know in these political times, I'm not getting into politics, so I'm not going to say I'm rooting for one person or another just because they're American, because of the politics or whatever. That's bullshit. But I will say, because of the nature of freestyle wrestling, there's no baby faces or heels, but over time, I do believe that they're going to have enough character development where the natural heels and the natural baby faces will come out, and people will start to cheer for them based on their characters as well as their performance on the mat. So then we had Evan Wick. He became the inaugural middleweight world champion, and he defeated Jason Nolf 10-8. That was a fantastic match. That was probably one of the more intense matches that I saw, that was back and forth, and what you would really call a great match. Russell chimes in. Austin Gomez hyping himself up and trolling the crowd was fun character work. I knew of Mercy Rule. Rest scoring was smooth and fast. So yeah, there were some that I will say had some tremendous character work. Austin Gomez was one of them. Also in the women's the strawweight division, Sarah Hildebrandt, fantastic. She came out, with the cupping the ear like Hulk Hogan, and I liked some of it. So some of the competitors were getting into the character work, because that's not something you normally see on freestyle wrestling. She won the strawweight world championship over Z Hernandez. I'm not sure what her first name was off the top of my head, so I do apologize. Okay, so the featherweight championship was up next, and that was Real Woods pinning Darian Caldwell. And at the press conference, Real Woods and Darian Caldwell had a really good interaction, and you could see some of the character work coming out between those two. I thought it was fun. And let me tell you something. Darian Caldwell, the Wolf, has a look to him. I believe he's a MMA fighter as well as a wrestler. And he's got a look to him, so he already understands. Some of these, wrestlers have, yes, you're right. Sarah is a star. Woods versus Caldwell was very impressive. Agreed. And I will say that some of these wrestlers are MMA stars or went on to other forms of combat sports, because there was no professional wrestling. And I'm obviously not talking about sports entertainment, but there is no professional wrestling until now. Love to see Jimmy Hart in the crowd, which is great. And for 80-something years old, Jimmy Hart looks fantastic. It's got to be those beans and taters. But he does. He looks fantastic. They did show a package about Ben Haskin, who had he was supposed to be wrestling at this event, but he had a really bad kind of pneumonia that he ended up needing a double lung transplant. He was very close to dying if his wife didn't bring him to the hospital. But holy cow, the dude is tough. He's a survivor. He expects to be wrestling again with two new lungs, which is impressive. And let me tell you something. If that happens, I will be the first one to try to buy a ticket whenever that may happen and wherever that may happen, because that's impressive. That's somebody to support if that's the case. Kyle Dake defeated Dean Hamidi for the Cruiserweight World Championship in a fantastic match. And I think Kyle Dake was the one that Kurt Angle said that he would have loved to face if he was still wrestling. So yeah, that was Ben Askren. His problems they showed, so they did show a nice tribute to him, even though he's still alive, obviously, but he's working on his way back to the mat. All right, so the next match was supposed to be where Kennedy Kennedy Blades was supposed to take on Alejandra Rivera. And if you look at my tweet, I do apologize. It says Alejandra Panera because I was going based off what Real American Freestyle had posted previously. So I got the last name wrong. So I apologize. But it is Alejandra Rivera. She ended up defeating the special guest or just the surprise, entrant Holly Holm, who, as everybody knows, was the one that defeated Ronda Rousey, I think on multiple occasions in UFC. But Holly Holm was there, and she lost 9-7 to Alejandra Rivera, who became the first middleweight champion for Real American Freestyle. And then that's about the time that the Fox Nation app kicked me out. So I had to watch the last two matches today when I got home. And let me tell you something. The match between Bo Nickel and Jacob Cardenas was phenomenal. And when I tell you that when I'm watching it, obviously being a WWE fan, you're looking for ways that, freestyle wrestling could compare to, sports entertainment, or what moves could be there. And of course, there's not many, because you're not really trying to hurt somebody. You're really not trying to kill somebody. You're really just, it's a competition. But this match was fantastic. Bo Nickel ends up defeating Jacob Cardenas, and that was for, now I got to figure out which title that was for, because I'm not really sure which one that was. Oh, that's right. He won the light heavyweight championship over Jacob Cardenas 6-4. That was a fantastic match that I thought could have gone either way. And Bo Nickel had the story behind Bo Nickel had been that he had retired from competition for one reason or another, and he's now back in wrestling. So signing for Real American Freestyle is his return to the mat. And then the heavyweight championship, I guess the unlimited weight heavyweight championship, Wyatt Hendrickson defeated, I believe it's Marshall Elders. Marshall or Michael, I can't. Oh yeah, Mustafa. Excuse me, I was way off. So Wyatt Hendrickson defeated Mustafa Elders 14-1 to become the heavyweight champion. And they made a comment last night, that Wyatt Hendrickson was officially allowed to compete by President Trump himself. I don't understand that. Did he need to be approved? Did he need to get the okay, to compete? I know he's a big part of Team USA, but again, I don't understand that stuff. Why somebody would have to be, okayed or approved to compete, and in Kennedy Blades' case, why she could not, why the NCAA wouldn't let her compete. So that's the kind of stuff that I am going to talk to Eric Bischoff about later this week when I interview him, when we sit down and have a good Zoom, and then I'll obviously release it to everybody. I don't know exactly what day or time, so I can't promote it, but it will be at some point this week where I'm going to sit down with Eric. And these are the things that I want to ask because I want to know, was it that important? But overall, it was a great event. Like I said, some of the talents are understanding the character work. I liked the entrances with the videos and the music, give it a sports entertainment style of feeling. But the wrestling itself, to be honest with you, I enjoyed it more than some of the modern WWE and AEW stuff that I watch on a weekly basis. And it's not because obviously they don't have the flippy do and the high flying and everything, but it's straight fighting, 3 2-minute rounds. That's it. Just 3 2-minute rounds. And it's very easy to kind of understand the scoring when you get used to it while you're watching it. And then how a pin actually just ends the match. So it's kind of, in other words, it's almost like Quidditch, where, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you could rack up so many points, but if you find the golden snitch, the match is over. So, it's almost to the point where, the points rack up, but if there's a pin, it makes it even more interesting. It makes it even more thrilling to watch. And it's amazing. I do want to go over the commentators that they had. They had Chael Sonnen as the color commentator, and and please forgive me, I'm trying to find out who it was that was the play-by-play. Was it Bubba something? No. I can't remember. Who was it that... please help me out in the chat if you're watching. Trying to figure out who... Oh, crap. Of course, now I have a brain fart. Let's see, RAF commentary. No, not here we go. So I know Kurt Angle was joined the crowd for the last one, but it was Bubba Jenkins. I knew it was Bubba, but Bubba Jenkins, Chael Sonnen did the main part of the commentary, as well as Kurt Angle joining them for the last two. Fantastic. It was a fantastic show altogether. And you know what? It wasn't like Bubba, Bubba Jenkins was, as the play-by-play, was going move for move. Like, he was pointing out some of the moves, like the leg catch, the guillotine, the upper crotch grab. Although that sounds a little off, but it probably actually is named that because of how they're grabbing the leg, the double leg takedown. There were no, what a maneuver or any of that. But it was great. Chael Sonnen is great with words, and I'm glad that he's connected to it. And I know he came out here he's a very controversial person, but as a color analyst for this match, for this event, he was great. I liked hearing Kurt Angle because he was in his element to watch it. Speaking of Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, UFC Hall of Famer, came out to confront Chael Sonnen and challenge him to a match for Real American Freestyle. And this is the kind of thing that I like. It's off the cuff. It's kind of has a sports entertainment feel to it because of how they're doing the interviews after the matches, and some of the winners are saying, "Oh, I'm going to go after the champion next," or Austin Gomez calling out, somebody else, or what have you. So, fantastic, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I hope everybody else did too. Like I said, this is going to be a short episode, a half hour, not bad. But I learned some stuff from Russell in the chat. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I look forward to the next few episodes, the next time that Real American Freestyle is on. And I will be watching it. And I will be back with another episode of Freestylin on RAF when that happens. But before then, when I sit down with Eric Bischoff and talk about Real American Freestyle later this week, that will be released not only on YouTube, but also on the RSS feed. Remember, everything that you find on this YouTube channel that's based on Suds and Squared Circle Media, whether it's Real American Freestyling on Real American Freestyle, whether it's Suds News, which is going to be live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. We'll be talking all about General Hospital. That's tomorrow. Dockside of the Bay will be back in a couple of weeks. We're on a quick hiatus while Kim gets acclimated to her new job. We're also going to be back with a new episode of Angela Answers Fan Mail soon, and so much more programming. All that can be found on the same RSS feed of Suds and Squared Circle Media, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. So, with that said, I will be back in terms of wrestling content back Wednesday night after Dynamite for the Dynamite Deep Dive with John Anthony from Chairshot Sports. We'll be talking all about this coming Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, is going to be Suds News. Angela and I will go over the week that was in Port Charles, New York on General Hospital. So, for myself, I hope you all enjoyed not only this episode, but I hope you enjoyed last night's episode of RAF 01, Real American Freestyle on Fox Nation. Have a great night, everybody, and just like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell to get notified for anything that comes up on this network, whether it's soap opera or wrestling related. Have a great night, everybody.